A flywheel is, in a business sense, it's the series of sequential repeating activities that get easier and quicker and better over time that drive performance. So a really good example, if you're a growing business, a pretty simple flywheel would have kind of 5 or 6 steps that might look initially like driving awareness, building awareness of what it is that you do, however you choose to do that. Driving awareness will create, hopefully, opportunity. If you're able to convert those opportunities, you have the opportunity to go and deliver for your clients. The better you deliver, the more likely you are to retain. The more you retain and understand what your clients need, the more able you are to innovate and improve. That gives you a better story to tell to drive awareness.
So this is the Stronger Business Together podcast, where business owners learn from each other. No gurus, no theory, just real journeys and overcoming real hurdles. Today, I'm joined by Matt Spry, who runs RODA. And like any business owner, he's in that middle of building things, fixing things, and growing something that really matters to him. So Matt, welcome.
Hi, Granger. Great to be here.
Awesome. Let's do Act 1, your business. So in plain English, Matt, what does your business do?
Hi, yeah, so I'm co-founder of RODA, and we are a hybrid advisory technology business, and we work with ambitious organizations to design and deliver performance systems. So what that means in plain English is we help them to identify, map and measure the flywheels that really drive the outcomes they're looking to deliver. And what that means is we help teams to really focus their energy and all their resources and their efforts on those parts of the organization that really make the biggest difference to where they're trying to go.
Fantastic. I like the idea of the flywheel, but I'm sure lots of our listeners haven't, or maybe even not come across it. So take me through it. What do you mean by a flywheel?
Yeah, so it's a concept that's been around for about 20 years in business, but not necessarily, it's not spread very widely. The concept comes from a book written about 20 odd years ago by an American researcher called Jim Collins in a book, Good to Great. And in that book, he identifies certain characteristics of organizations that outperform the market over long periods of time. One of the key factors he discovers is that the organizations that really outperform over time really understand what are the flywheels within their organization that compound over time and build momentum and high performance. So a flywheel is, in a business sense, it's the series of sequential repeating activities that get easier and quicker and better over time that drive performance. So if you're a growing business, a pretty simple flywheel would have kind of 5 or 6 steps that might look initially like driving awareness, building awareness of what it is that you do, however you choose to do that. Driving awareness will create, hopefully, opportunity. If you're able to convert those opportunities, you have the opportunity to go and deliver for your clients. The better you deliver, the more likely you are to retain. The more you retain and understand what your clients need, the more able you are to innovate and improve. That gives you a better story to tell to drive awareness. And that's a fairly common example of a flywheel in a growing business. Where flywheels are really powerful is the connections between those steps. It's understanding how different teams, different processes, different systems work together to drive the outcome that you want. It's a very, very powerful concept.
Fantastic. Yes. No, I love the idea of it. And, we built, my partner and I built Stronger Business Together around a principle called simplify your business. And I love the idea in Jim Collins' book, not just the flywheel, but actually it's the simplification of the flywheel over time that helps to accelerate even faster. So, fantastic. So who do you love helping and what are they typically dealing with?
Yeah, so it's rather than a sector, it's more of a profile of leader that we tend to work with. And really it's about ambition. So you find that across different sectors. That doesn't necessarily mean purely ambitious in terms of growth and profit, although we do work with scaling businesses. That might also mean a charity or third sector organisation that's ambitious about the level of impact they're trying to have. And equally, we work with NHS organisations as well, who are looking to improve the way they deliver outcomes for patients and populations. So it really is about that mindset and that leadership attitude. Saying, no, we're here to try and do great things. We're not settling for the status quo. We're not standing still. We really want to keep on the drive towards higher improvement, higher performance levels.
Wow, that's exciting. I like the idea of those people exist out there that want that help and that thinking. So brilliant. So how did the business start? What was that original spark?
Yeah, so I'm co-founder of RODA. My business partner, Mark, and I have known each other for 8 or 9 years. And we both met when we both set up our own consultancies independently, having left corporate life. And we were introduced 8 or 9 years ago, and we started working together across each other's consultancies on various projects. We gone really, really well. And then around kind of post-COVID time, we started working together on a couple of projects, and we got into more and more conversations about what we wanted to do next, and actually the frustrations we had with the clients that we worked with. And we realized there was a real kind of a common point of frustration around, we did a lot of kind of strategy change type work. We're going and rewrite, redesign strategies, lots of work with leadership teams. And we both felt very frustrated that it was quite common that for all the great work and great thinking, things got stuck when it came to execution. We kept seeing this problem again and again, that you'd expect organizations to go and fly and do brilliant things, and they were just kind of grinding rather than compounding that we wanted them to see. And we started to then explore how can we do that better? What can we do? How can we go and work with these organizations and help them to understand where they're getting stuck? And we started trying different things. And then we started to use the flywheel concept in workshops initially. So the very first time we did it was with a digital agency in Cardiff, who had real inconsistent quality on projects. They'd deliver one project that was a knockout of the park success, and the next one would be a disaster, and they'd lose a lot of money, and the client would be very happy. And we worked with the whole operations team in a single workshop, and we thought we'll try to flywheel. This is a good way of helping people to understand how would you make project 2 better than project 1. And it was magic, to be honest with you. It was, as soon as we explained the concept, they got it very quickly. They very quickly took the lead, which is part of what you want, and they started mapping out ideas and talking to each other about how they could help each other to do things better. And the workshop naturally evolved from, we can draw this on a board, so actually we can measure all these things. We can start to track whether we are really doing this better or not. And almost live in the workshop, it evolved from here's a concept to actually here's a framework, here's a system that you can use to measure whether or not you're improving over time. And we walked away, thought that was brilliant. that was better than we thought it was going to be. That's great. So we tried it again. We did it with another agency around growth, and that went really well. And we kept having this experience, but we were leaving people with a PowerPoint and some pretty pictures, or a Miro board and an Excel spreadsheet. And we thought, well, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And we could both see the potential then for a digital platform, a digital toolkit to go alongside the work we did. And so that's what we did at that point. We thought, right, we want to do this together. And so we closed down our businesses and formed RODA. And that's what we've been doing since. So we raised a little bit of money a couple of years ago. We worked with a development agency to build our first platform, and we've been building other tools as well around the concept. So we use that to really kind of turbocharge the way that our advisory works. So we can not only help implement the idea and teach people how this works and how to identify where those flywheels are, but then also they can then be using a system that helps them track that and identify where things are either working or where they're not, so they can respond more quickly and with more focus.
Brilliant. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I often say to my clients, the difference between knowledge and actual real understanding is action. And you say that things get stuck. I worked in corporate world, and my God, little actions take place. It's so hard, but actually it's really simple. And my teams were very successful because I cracked that nut. I understood what it actually means to make those first steps, those first experiments, and make that happen. So yeah, fantastic. I like what you're doing. So what does the business look like today in terms of shape and size?
So it's just the two of us in terms of co-founders. We have some associates we work with on various projects. And we work with a range of organisation types. So we still do some work in the NHS. We work with ambitious tech companies. We work with agencies as well. And we still work with some third sector organisations. So we've got a fairly, because our background, neither of us are young. We've got fairly well established networks. We've got contacts in quite a lot of different spaces.
So it's quite a range of contacts that you've got, quite a range of different organisations that you've been working with. So how do you generate leads today then?
Yeah, so it's a mix. I mean, it's mostly still through network referrals, kind of word of mouth, which, given most of the projects we work on are not necessarily that small, that works pretty well. But we're now doing a lot more on places like LinkedIn, do a lot more content-led marketing. And we're all starting to run our own events as well to try and kind of just grow out more and get the name known. And we've done some video marketing, which worked pretty well in the past as well. Worked with a local chap in Bristol to kind of create a set of interview videos. That was really good in terms of getting a name out there. So we're slowly getting there. But as everyone knows, it's not a quick game.
No, there's certain parts of marketing and lead generation that does seem to take a long time sometimes. But yeah, something to debate maybe one day. So, what are you aiming for in the next 12 months and why for the business?
That's a great question. I think it's about for us really making this move and getting more people on the platform, more people who know what flywheels are, who work with that as a methodology or a visual model of how our organization works. And we got some really interesting, fascinating, great conversations going on with companies we want to be working with. So it's getting some of those secured and really having more people who talk about flywheels, on a daily, weekly basis, and are really using that as a way of analysing and understanding how well their business is performing.
Mm. And I came across it in the physical world on a previous podcast that I was running, and one of the guests talked about the flywheel and talked about how it took him about a couple of years to really make it work within his business. But he's absolutely rocking now to the extent that he's now over in America setting up a separate agency over there. So, if you get it right, it really does snowball your business.
That's it. And it's, I think with all these things, actually one of the things that's really powerful about the flywheel idea is that it's not a fire and forget. You don't sell it at once and walk away. It's a brilliant learning tool, because every time you're tracking, every time you're looking, you are learning more and more about what works and what doesn't. And again, I think that comes back to the mindset. Your previous guest sounds perfect, and if they're using that as, right, this isn't working as well as I thought it would. Why? Where are we stuck?
Yeah.
What have I got to change? What happens if I do this differently? I think that any leader who can take that mindset into understanding what's going on in their organization is going to do well. Because so many don't. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. So when we started testing the platform, and one of the key principles behind the platform we built is transparency. So it's built to have multiple users on within an organization's flywheel. And if you are one of the users of the flywheel, you can see everything. So you can see the whole flywheel for the organization. And we had a group of beta testers, and one of them said, "This is great, except there's no way I would use it with the organization because I do not want my whole team to know all this." And we're like, brilliant. You're absolutely not the right profile for us. If you're not happy with your team seeing this kind of level of detail and this kind of level of performance data, then thank you. You're helping us understand who this is for, because it's certainly not you.
Absolutely.
That's quite fun.
Yeah, and we, a stronger business together, one of the things we believe in growing people so they grow your business. You have to trust your people. You have to involve your people in all the activities that's going on. And they will inspire you. They will be amazing. But so many of us have a habit of locking that all away and hiding that. And not just in small businesses, in big businesses as well. So, yeah. Brilliant. Well, Matt, let's move on to Act 2 now, the journey. Over the last few years, both, on yourself and then building the business, RODA, together with your co-partner, the business has had highs and lows. What are some of those highs and lows for you?
I think the highs always come back to client outcomes. It's always when you see them doing something brilliant or getting something they didn't get before. So, going right back to that first workshop, even that was a high looking back, because you realize you had the spark of something that was quite special. I think my first paying customer on the platform was great. The first time people really recognized what it is you built was pretty amazing. I think probably favorite client experience was we worked with a software company that built software for the travel sector. And it was one of those kind of brilliant client conversations at the start of, they were coming out of COVID, they were coming back to some kind of mix of hybrid and in the office work. And and the MDs, look, things aren't right. Things don't feel right. We're not performing as well as we should. I've got some ideas where, but I just want someone to come in, arm's length, look up under all the stones, tell me what's not working. And then we can fix it. And then we're looking towards an exit. And that was kind of perfect, because we could go in, speak to lots of people, look at the data, ask all the awkward questions, look under all the stones no one really wants to look at, map things out, and then went back in and again, to come back to kind of leadership, the reason that was such a great project is we had the chance to go back in with the exec team and be direct and open about the stuff that was good and the stuff that was bad. And they kind of took it at face value and accepted what we'd found. A little bit pushed back as you'd hope, but there was really good dialogue and really good engagement. And then what happened off was they then picked that up, used that as a roadmap, and really in a very just kind of dealt with it, dealt with the problems, worked with their teams where they understood there was a barrier, got it out of the way, and seeing that happen, and then seeing the performance tick up over time, and then then speaking to MD again recently and realizing they completed the exit for what they wanted. It's like, yeah, that's great to know that you've been part of that journey for someone else. Yeah, that's always rewarding. Seeing them make the progress you think they should, and they're capable
Yes.
of, is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, totally agree. I can see that, and I can see the passion in you when you talk about it. So, I mean, we have to make key decisions sometimes. Maybe at the time we don't realize that they're quite key or pivotal. But what one or two decisions has changed the trajectory of your business?
So initially, this is quite a big one. I think when we first had the idea for the platform, we thought, oh, this is going to be a SaaS product on its own. We're just going to be selling software. This is going to be great. we can walk away. No, not walk away is the wrong word. Step back from the advisory work, put it that way. And actually, what became very clear was that isn't what customers wanted. It's not what people needed. It's not what they wanted. It's not what they wanted from us either. So actually, we're now in a place where we bring those things together. We do the advisory work. We've got the software tools to support that, which kind of enables us to do more actually, and to have a bigger impact. That's been a really big decision, because I think I said initially we had such a clear view on what it was going to be, and that was very quickly taken away and moved into a different place, and that was really powerful. Actually, we say, oh, actually, no, this is how we can help make the biggest difference. Let's do this, and that's a space we feel much more comfortable in terms of what we're doing, and I know our clients are as well. So that's been a really big decision for us in terms of the shape of the business model.
And building businesses are around processes and then repeating habits, as I like to call them. What's a habit that you've put in place with your business partner that actually keeps you stronger together?
We've always had a very open, honest, direct relationship, which is right from when we first met, actually, which has been great. We're not afraid to call each other out if we're getting a bit carried away in either direction, which is really powerful. We've both done that with each other multiple times over the past few years, which has been really good. But we have a very regular drumbeat of meetings between the two of us, in person and virtually. Kind of 3 times every week, 9:00, we are on the phone. We're running through the list of what's going on, what the priorities are. Because I think staying aligned as a pair of founders is absolutely critical. Where we need to know what are we doing, who are we doing it for, what are the priorities at the moment? Is that taking us in the right direction? Are we being pulled off piece? Are we taking in a different direction? What do we do to get it back? So it's that rhythm that's really important for us. And as I said, I just think that almost brutal honesty at times is so important, I think.
Yeah.
Keep each other honest.
Yeah, fantastic. I know, totally agree. A really good rhythm. A lot of people go, oh, meetings. Well, no, they're not meetings. They're actually a business rhythm. They keep us alive. They keep the pulse going in the business. If you do them right, if you're doing them wrong, they're just meetings. If you're doing them right, then actually they drive energy. They bring the business forwards and they make you achieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. Now, consultancy, we do business coaching at Strong Business Together. AI is coming along, and everyone's talking about the world of AI and everything else. But what's your thought on AI to help you in your business to move forward and to grow?
Yeah, that's been a huge question for us, actually, because when we started building the first software tool, AI was just appearing. So looking back, it's been a very different journey than we would have had if we started it now. So there's quite a lot to say. From a very practical point of view, we use the tools quite widely. We've both kind of learned how to build prototypes of other digital products as well. So we really are trying to make sure we understand how this works and what it could mean. So we've got other tools we built ourselves, which is for someone like me who had loads of ideas and could never build anything is amazing. I think for consultancies, I mean, they are a threat. Absolutely, they're a threat. I think a lot of the more mundane tasks will disappear because you can just build something to do it for you, or the chat models can as they stand now. But I think there's also a massive opportunity to kind of to do more for people. So it is that almost AI empowered consultancy. Because whether it's in terms of data analysis or in terms of research or in terms of how you are building tools for clients, there's so much you can now do. So I think I think it's really important that consultancies embrace it. And as I go, I think the ones that don't will really start to struggle. And I think that the nature of consultancy and kind of agency work will possibly start to combine. I think you're going to see a world of very niche, very bespoke products built for organizations, very specific needs, because that suddenly has become affordable. And the barriers to these things being built has just dropped so far. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very different landscape. We're all learning the impacts of this, and it does feel like it's changing every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But we're determined not to be left too far behind.
With all that taking place, how do you and your partner, how do you focus on keeping the business doing the right things and staying as a healthy business going forward? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a real cliche, but we start with the clients and work back from there. You know, that we work to we're in service to the organisations that we work with. So if we know what they need and we are doing the things that help take them forward, then that's the first thing we have to do. And then we both kind of with the view that if we're doing that right, then the rest of it will follow behind. And that varies. You know, you're speaking to an NHS team about AI and data, you're getting a very different answer than when you're speaking to a pair of founders of a health tech business. Very different objectives, very different levels of understanding. That's part of the fun for us, actually, is hearing those different perspectives and trying to make sure that we are positioning to help people at different stages of their journey.
Yeah, brilliant. And listen to customers, helping customers. That's actually how you develop and grow your activity and what you need to do. We spun off into our own business specifically from that, because the way that we were helping our clients were different to the way that was being recommended and suggested. So it was time to actually take the real hurdle and do it ourselves by helping our clients achieve what they want through the way that we could see that was working. So, and that creates lovely pivots and changes. So let's move on to our hurdle round. So Act 3. So what's the hurdle that you've picked for us today to have a conversation about?
Yeah. So as I said, both my co-founder and I started from a consultancy background. We left corporate life, started our own consultancies in similar scopes to work, but in different markets, which is kind of how we come together really, really well. So we're very confident, very kind of familiar with that market. And then when we started, we had this idea for a digital platform. Initially thought that'll be SaaS. That's fine. We know what that can look like. Realized that's not really where we want to be. And actually, it's more powerful to have a combination of the two. So the journey we're on at the moment is how we integrate kind of our own suite of software products that are all built around this flywheel concept, and help companies compound and not grind out for growth. How do we bring that together into a business model that is not only delivering what clients need, but also helping us to build that robust, resilient, growing business model that we're looking forward to.
Okay. So it's about sort of how do you bring more technology into the consulting activity to deliver more value to your clients, thereby reducing the amount of consultancy time, or, is the aim to not totally replace, I get that, but is it to replace some of it?
Probably. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it may be, it's either replace or it's substitute. It's because what you can do obviously is use these platforms to take away some of the work and some of the time that actually you could be spending with that client doing other things, or that the client could be using to do other things. So, possibly that's one of the questions.
Okay, so let's just sort of pitch our minds forward for a moment. What would better look like in a sentence in a few years' time
For a client or for us?
For yourselves?
Yeah, so I think for us, we both get more satisfaction from working more deeply with organisations than on a shallow basis. So I think for us, it would success and that model that we're looking for would be, we've got a core of organisations we work with consistently. We've probably got a group of pretty deeply embedded associates or employees that work with us. But we are a key support or advisor, kind of independent, arm's length, challenging, critical friend, whatever you want to call it, to the leadership team that are kind of there to slightly challenge and hold to account, and so we can help them to identify what's going well, what's not, help keep them on the path they're looking to go down, and obviously to keep generating insights that help them make better decisions.
So let's start with where we are today. So with your technology platforms today, what percentage maybe of time or percentage of effort that you're working with your clients is it currently supporting the activity with them?
Oh, that's a difficult question to answer. To be honest with you, it's the ones that use it a lot. So it's a make where it's in, and then they bought into the idea, the concept, and they can see the value. It's become a key part of what they do. In terms of that kind of management, insight, reporting, communication, knowledge sharing. So I'd be hard to put a percentage on that in terms of their time, but it's become a critical part of that process.
Okay. So how many, what sort of maybe a percentage of clients then to date are actually using that level of sophistication with your software?
Probably about a third.
Okay. So what are they doing in the journey of
Yeah.
implementation through working with you that maybe the other 2/3 are not doing? What's the difference?
I think that probably it comes back part. It's the marketing point. It's whether they come to you directly as, I can see what you're doing and I love the idea of the flow and I want to know more. Tell me.
Okay.
And that's the position you start from compared to the kind of network referral. I know you've got a problem. Go and speak to these guys because they help me. And often then they're coming with a different problem, to which that might not be the answer. And so it
Right.
depends how that comes through. So a good example would be we still work with a lot of NHS trusts. A lot of that work is around kind of business case type development or understanding benefits. They're not coming to ask about driving high performance. They're coming to ask about how can I secure this investment? How can they make the best use of this program that's coming up? So you're starting from a different place. So if a leadership team are coming and say, "Oh, I want to be, a high performance organization. We want to grow. Or if you're a charity saying we want to reach more people, whatever it might be." If that's the conversation and that's where it starts, then that's how you then move on to leveraging the flywheel for their organization.
And those organizations are using the software beyond then just the consultancy activity?
Yeah, it's both. So the model at the moment is it remains hybrid. So we have got
Yeah.
some that just use the software, but generally it's a software plus.
Yeah. Okay. So if they sound like the right type of clients for you, isn't it more important maybe then to focus on generating more of those type of clients than the ones that are not using it? Because the other ones may be driving down your energy, they're driving down the activity that you're doing, they're not actually delivering any real good case studies for you to be able to
No,
accelerate it.
that's right, and that is absolutely where we're starting to move.
Yeah.
Trying to, just like you've asked that question, Granger, actually knows the right
Yeah.
ones. Well, who are they? What's the pro? What are they coming? What the questions they're coming to you with? What's the profile? So that's what we're trying to find is that profile, that question. Where are they? How can we start to really be focused in terms of how we communicate and how we go to market and to speak
Yeah.
to those people?
And where did those type of clients come from with your marketing? Why did they come knocking on your door?
It's a mix of introductions, some network, some events as well. Met people at events, and then heard about it and followed up. Yeah, and then one or two have come direct through content that we created on LinkedIn. Followed up and said that sounds really interesting. Can I hear more? And yes, it's been a mix.
And so all marketing is about generating a lead, and then leads fall into our sales pipeline, which is just a method of A followed by B followed by C that results in a sale, and only a percentage anyway it ever gets to that sale point. But where within your process of sales do you actually validate those type of clients to say, look, these are the people we want to work with, these are the people we don't?
Yeah.
Do you have a gatekeeping process in there?
Yeah, we do now. So we learned that fairly early on. I think to be totally open, I'm sure we won't be the first people to fall into this trap. When you first get a new shiny piece of software, you kind of want to show it off, and I think we definitely did too much of that. Whereas we've learned that people don't come to us because we've got a nice piece of software. They come to us because they want to do something different.
Yeah, and I learned a great phrase a number of years ago. In the first year of a business, you work with anybody because you need the money.
Absolutely.
In the second year of the business, you work out who you don't want to work with. And in the third year, you finally find those people you really want to work with. And it does sort of naturally take that course. I found that over the time that I was doing. So, I mean, so if you've really got that method, the next bit really to think about is what I call better, more, new. So the methods the marketing that you're doing today, when you look at those set of clients that you love working with, which methods did they come through from marketing? And therefore, can you improve that marketing bit, make it slightly better? So putting iteration on it and doing more volume through that activity, because it's volume that drives the opportunities. What we're very good at doing as business owners is we want to do more of it, this. We want to go social media. We want to go to TikTok. We want to do this. We want to do this. Where actually it's simplification of your marketing processes that supports one key activity is the real powerhouse. So what would be something maybe thinking about better, and what would be something just increase volume?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the two channels that we think are going to be most important for us. One is actually getting out. It's the networking. It's finding the right events, the right groups of people. And we're putting on our first event actually in a couple of weeks' time as well. So that's been quite powerful for us. And then secondly, I think it's going to be the content marketing, just to get the brand known, the concepts known. So I think that is one thing that is not unique, but a rarer challenge for what we're doing, is that we've got a concept that people may not have heard of.
Yeah.
You're fairly rare, Granger, that you've read the book that we learned this from. Most people haven't. Yeah, and they may have heard the word flywheel, but they've not heard it used in the context of organizational performance.
Yeah.
We're slightly fighting that battle, but that's a content marketing piece for us, of just explaining what it is and showing what it looks like in practice. So one of the things that I've built recently is an AI-powered flywheel builder, which is a free thing on the website. Anyone can go and do, and you answer a few questions, and it's got our playbooks in the background, and it can create you, well, actually, this is what we think the flywheel you might need looks like. And we found already that on conversations with clients and people we're meeting on our network, that people can see it and feel it. That's great. How can I use that? So even just show it. It's the show, don't tell things. So showing people what it looks like for them, I think is going to be a really powerful thing.
So that's a bit of better. You're talking about more. Yeah. One of the questions I ask, and I ask all my clients on this, and is, could you tell me exactly which networking events each one of those clients came from?
Yes, I could.
That's really good. That's really important, because tracking leads is one of the key things in marketing. A lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do that." Well, why not? Because actually, the only way you can understand how to do better and do more is to really track it, know exactly where those leads come from, and that's when you can then start saying, "Right, we just need to do more of this type of networking. We need to, in those networkings, we just need to be better at maybe not meeting one person, but meeting two people every single time." Need to be better at those one-to-one follow-up activities. We need to have a better way of using your AI flywheel type idea. So you find by using the data is really important to do it. You'd be surprised how many people don't have that data. So really well done.
I agree. And it's not what we expected. We're based. So I'm based just outside Bristol, and for anyone who listens who's around Bristol, you'll probably know that there's a very big kind of tech startup community ecosystem, loads of events. You could probably go to something every day of the week if you really wanted to. And while we've enjoyed going to a lot of that, and we've met a lot of really interesting people, actually the type of events that work for us have been the much smaller, the kind of the round tables, the smaller groups where you get a chance to engage a bit more deeply. So that's the kind of the profile event that's worked for us, and the ones where you have those deeper conversations.
Yes, good. So if you're going to do more and better, what would you do next week? Well, actually, we're Monday now. We're recording this. What would you do this week as your first experiment to start thinking about that?
Yeah, so actually, we're running our first event next week, which is the kind of the new thing that we're trying. So we've found those smaller events to be really valuable, and so we're actually running our own kind of private little event next week, which we're hoping to become a regular thing. Which we're calling the RODA +1 lunch. So we've invited a small number of people to a lunch, and we've asked them to bring someone else that they think the rest of the group will find interesting. No kind of agenda, no sales pitch, just a kind of a chance to talk, to grow our networks and meet some new interesting people, and hopefully that will spiral off, and through that we will build a bigger network of people that we've not met yet. And hear some more good stories. So that's what we're looking to. So that's the new thing we're doing. And we do have a plan to kind of to boost the content marketing over the next week or two. just coming out of a busy Easter period for both of us. But that's the intention now, is to really, now we've got the AI Flywheel Builder tool ready, is to really start using that, so to tell the story what flywheels can do and what they can look like. Explore some stories of what it could look like for other organizations that you might be reading about in the news, what's really going on behind the scenes that's driving their success or their failure. So we're quite excited about getting those things out.
So it's new. Just be careful about new. As I said, the ratio should be about 10% of your time should be on new. The other sort of 90% should always be on the better and doing more. And the better may be only around the 20%. So, that puts 70% of more of our effort on more, where we always get attracted by the new because current isn't working. Well, current might not just be working because A, it's not better enough, or B, you're just not doing enough of it because volume negates luck. Yeah, so really thinking about that. So fantastic. Great conversation. Yeah, that was really useful. And, you've sparked some ideas, even with me, as we're thinking about this. So thank you. So let's go up into our wrap up and close now. What did you hear yourself say today that maybe surprised you?
Probably about the events, actually. Thinking back, because we do track things like where we go and who we, not who we speak to, but where we met people that, that do fall into our pipeline or the network that we track. So actually reflecting back on that pattern has been quite interesting. And I think it's always powerful, I think, to discuss and to voice where you want to go, what the priorities look like, who you want to work with, and what you want the shape of the business to be. I think as a business owner, when you're in it day to day, you do get distracted and stuck on the day-to-day short-term issues. I think it's always powerful to step back and really think, actually, where is it we're trying to go? What's the business model we're trying to build? Is that the right path that we're on? So definitely there's a few things I've got written down that I want to just want to make sure we're doing enough of, remaining focused on. And certainly, I think the one thing that we have got to be careful of, and I dare say lots of consultants will be in the same position, that it's often as important to say no to the right things as it is to say yes. Something we've got to give ourselves space to step back from some of the work that isn't necessarily taking us in the direction we want to go, to give space to go and do, the better, the more of the right things to go in the direction that we do want to go.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the key things that we did creating Stronger Business together is we created our 4 principles that we run our business by. And we then designed the business around that, rather than designing the business and then thinking about what our values are, etc. We did it the other way around, and that simplified dramatically to the extent that we left our organization that had software in it. And actually, we discovered that most of our clients weren't actually using the software. Yes, we could have spent some time really working out why. We had some good understanding because I had some great clients that actually transferred and moved with us. But it's really that understanding them, as you said, talking to your clients and really drilling down with those really successful clients. And I spent time with those that I've been with over the last 4 years. As I said, some of them moved with us. And I got to know what they really needed and understood from them. And hence, Stronger Business Together was created around exactly that. So that real focus energy that you have to do every now and then is just really important. So thank you for being honest and sharing that with us. So Matt, finally, how can people get hold of you, follow more of your journey and learn more about Flywheels?
Yeah, no problem at all. So we're very active on LinkedIn. So you search for myself, Matt Spry on LinkedIn, you can find us. If you want to have a play with Flywheels and then try build more for yourself, you can go to www.flywheelbuilder.io. There's a very simple guided process, answer 3 or 4 questions, and using our model, it'll suggest a flywheel that you might want to start exploring. And if you look at that and want to talk more about what it can mean for your organization, just please get in touch, either through LinkedIn or via email or on the website. We'd be very happy to talk. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's been great to chat.
Pleasure. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being so open and honest. Fantastic conversation today. I know our listeners will get a lot from it. Thank you. Thanks for spending your time with us today. We're on a mission to make business owners stronger together. If this conversation's helped you, please like, comment, and follow on whatever platform you're using. About 60% of our audience hasn't done that yet, and these small actions will help us reach more business owners just like you. If you'd like to join in this conversation as a guest, or if you have a hurdle question that you'd like us to discuss, then do reach out to us at info@strongerbusinesstogether.com. Now, go make this week really successful, and We'll see you next time. Cheers.